Hi, this is Mike McCrease. Welcome back to Advanced Photoshop. Today we're going to create a movie poster with a text effect. Graphic designers, web designers are always looking for ways to use text in an innovative way, and I think that this technique is going to work for us very nicely. And the way we're going to do this is with some masking techniques and with a web program, or excuse me, with a website called tagcedo.com. And what Tagcedo does is it is a web toy that generates word clouds from text that you provide. And basically what a word cloud is, it's usually used for web applications where you place text in the word generator, and the more frequently a specific word is used, then the larger that word becomes, and it kind of gives a graphical representation of the frequency of a word that's used. We don't have to use this web toy to create our text, but it makes it fun, makes it easier, and it kind of speeds the process up. This is an example of what we're going to be doing today. And you see that we have got text that is in both the highlight areas and the shadow parts of the image. And you notice that in the shadow areas the text is lighter in value, and in the highlight areas the text is darker in value. And we've got kind of a muted effect on our image and kind of a diffuse glow applied to it. And it's for a fictitious movie which I'm calling The Lipstick Files. I'm going to start by going to my browser and going to tagcedo.com. And this is the home page right here. And it gives a little description of how it works. I'll let you take a look at that on your own time, but here's some examples of what can be done down below. Ours is going to look a little more sophisticated than this. We're going to click the Start Now button. And then I'll click on the Load button. And you can see that I can load a file or a web page or just enter text. Any of these methods will work fine. I'm just going to enter a web page so that I don't have to enter my own text. But you could if you had a file already prepared with specific text in it. You can enter any web page and it will pull out the words from that web page. You can use any one you want. I'll just use my own web page. And then I press the Submit button. And then you see that you've got a series of words. When you scroll over them, you get a kind of nice little effect going on over here. But we won't be taking advantage of that in our project. Let's choose a theme. So I'm going to click on this Theme button right here, the Theme menu. And for my theme, I'm going to choose white on black. And then I'll choose my font and my orientation. Click the Font menu button. And you can choose whatever font you want. I kind of like this Boston Traffic font right here. And then for my orientation, I'll click the Orientation menu. And I'll choose horizontal. And then for my shape, I'll click on the shape menu button. These are some presets, real basic shapes here. We're not going to use any of those. Instead, we're going to load our own image. Now on Blackboard, there is an image called Lipstick Portrait, and I've downloaded that and saved it to my computer, and I will load that now. Just click on the Add Image button, and we'll navigate to where we saved our file. Choose Open, and you see a kind of rough representation of the picture in our preview window. We'll adjust the threshold and the blur with these two little sliders right here, and you can see how much we can control this way. And you can experiment with this. This process that we're going to be exploring today involves a lot of experimentation. I'll show you some basic settings, but you're encouraged to do some experimentation on your own. For right now, I'm going to set the threshold to 20%, and I'll set the blur to 20%. I'll set the interior to black, and then I'll press the Accept button. And we wait a little while as it crunches the numbers, and then it produces our word cloud. Back over in our options on the left hand side, we're going to click the button that says Word Layout Options. And here I'll set my maximum word count to 600. I'll drag the slider all the way to the right, max that out. And I'll set the tightness to 150%. Max that all the way out. And then back over in my options on the left, I click on the Save, Share, Print option. And I'll choose this 1 megapixel JPEG. And then I will save that to my folder, and I'll give it a name. I'll just call it Word Cloud Shadow. This little offer comes up. Just either close that out or click on No Thanks. And it generates a JPEG where the words will be displayed in the shadow parts of our picture. Now we're going to create another one. So again, let's click on the Shape menu button again. Add Image once again. Choose the Lipstick Portrait. I'll set the interior to white on this time. Press Accept. Click on Save, Share, Print. Choose the 1 megapixel JPEG again. And we'll save this as Word Cloud Highlights. And here's my resulting image. We're finished with our Tagxedo word cloud generator, so I'm just going to go to Photoshop and open up those two images plus the lipstick portrait image. So here are my three images opened up in Photoshop: the shadow image, the highlight image, and the lipstick portrait image. And we're going to composite these together. Now that we've got these three files open, we're going to go to each of the word cloud images and crop out the white border, and then set the resolution to 72 pixels per inch so that it matches that of the lipstick portrait. So we're going to go to the crop tool, and up here at the top we're going to put 10 inches for the width, 15 for the height, and we just click and drag our corner handles until we crop out that border. And you can use your left, right, up and down arrow keys to kind of reposition the image where it needs to be, and press return. Then we'll go to image and image size, set our resolution to 72 pixels per inch, and click OK. Now we'll go to the second word cloud image and do the same thing. Back to the crop tool, adjust the corner handles, go to image and image size, set your resolution to 72 pixels, and we're good. If you go to the lipstick portrait, you can go to image, image size, and you see that it's already 10 by 15 inches and 72 pixels per inch. So they're all the same size and all the same image resolution. We're going to copy and paste the word cloud images into the lipstick portrait image. So I'll go to my word cloud image, the first one, select all, copy, come over here to the lipstick portrait image, and paste. Go to the second word cloud image, select all, copy, go to the lipstick portrait image, and paste. Let's find the layer that has the text in the shadow areas, and let's rename that Shadows. Let's change its blending mode to Divide. One way I can do that quickly and easily is if my selection tool is active, I can just press Shift and use the plus or minus keys on the keyboard to scroll through my blending mode. There's Divide. It's a little strong, so I'm going to drop the layer opacity to 10%. I need to have lighter text in the shadow area, so I'm going to create an adjustment layer for invert. Alt-Option, click on our adjustment layers button and choose invert, and clip it to the previous layer. Now you see the text is light in the shadow areas. Let's go to our layer that has the white text into the highlight areas, and we'll name that layer Highlights. I'm going to change its blending mode to Soft Light. I'm going to create an adjustment layer for invert here as well, because I want to have darker text in the highlight areas. So let's choose another one for invert, clip it, click OK, and let's drop our layer opacity down to anywhere between 15 and 25%. Will probably look pretty good. Oops, got to make certain that I'm on the right layer. I've got to be on my highlights layer to do that. Now I don't want there to be any text on her eyes or on her lips. So on my highlights layer, I'll create a layer mask. Go to my paintbrush, and using black paint, I'll just paint out the text over the eyes. And I'm using a soft edge brush to do this. Now we've also got a little bit of a problem in that in the midtone parts of the picture you have text from the highlights showing up and text from the shadows showing up, and they're kind of overlapping each other. So still on my highlights layer, still on the mask, I'm also going to mask off those portions of the midtones so that they don't show up. Only text in the shadow areas will show up there. So I'm going to paint over all these areas right here. And again, I'm doing that on the highlights layer. Now I'm going to add a filter to my background image. So I'm going to convert that background layer to a smart object. And I'll choose Filter, Distort, and Diffuse Glow. And we get a rather large dialog that opens up here. Oh, one thing I forgot to do. Let me hit Cancel first. I've got to set my foreground and background colors to their defaults. So I just press D on my keyboard to do that. And then let's try Filter, Distort, and Diffuse Glow. There we go. That's the way it should look. And we've got some options here, some sliders that we can tinker with. You've got a graininess slider and a glow amount slider and a clear amount. And these settings are kind of subjective, but I think for my purposes here, after doing some experimentation, I've decided to set my graininess to 3, the glow amount to 3, and the clear amount to 7. And click OK. And that gives it kind of a nice, dreamy effect. Next, I want to reduce the color somewhat. So I'm going to create an adjustment layer for black and white just above my image layer. Let's just go ahead and rename this. Since we created that convert to a smart object, it now just calls it layer 2, which is not very descriptive. I'll just call that image or something a little more descriptive. Okay, so I'm going to hold down my Alt or Option key and click on the new adjustment layer button, and we're going to choose black and white. And click OK, and that makes the image go black and white. I'm going to go back to my layers panel at this point, and on this black and white adjustment layer, I'm going to pull that layer opacity down to about 50%, so that some of the color bleeds through. So the color is just muted. Now I would like for her lips to be a little more intense in color. So on that black and white adjustment layer, I'm going to go to my brush tool and click on the layer mask for that. And we are going to paint over the lips so that they are seen at their full color value and are not that muted black and white image. Now we're going to add some text for our movie poster. I'm going to choose a nice display font. Go to my text tool, and you can explore the different fonts that you have installed on your computer and choose something that's very readable. I'm going to choose one that I found a while back called Hurry Up, which I kind of liked. Again, choose whatever you want, but make certain that, again, that it is something that you can read very easily. I'm setting my font size to 135 points. Yours may vary depending on which font you're using. I just want it to be nice and large. I don't want the text to be black or white. I want it to match one of the colors that's in my scene. So I'm going to go to my color picker, again, with my text tool still active. There's my color picker. I'm going to move my cursor over inside this image. Now notice too that I've got my image layer active here. And I'm just going to click on a part of her hair there, maybe one of the brighter parts, kind of like that. It's kind of a warm grayish brown color like that. That'd be nice for our text. Might make it just a little bit lighter. Yeah, that's a good one right there. Click OK. And I'll just type in the title of my movie. I'll select my text and I will adjust the leading, which is the proper name for line spacing, by holding down my Alt or Option key and my up and down arrow keys, and I can adjust it. You want to keep your lines of text fairly close together. With this particular font, I'm actually going to make them overlap. They can kind of bleed into one another and they'll still be readable. And by the same token, holding down the Alt or Option key, I can press my left or right arrow button to bring those letters closer together or farther apart. I want them to be fairly close. I like them to be set pretty tight. Then I'm going to go ahead and center it in the file. So select all. With my selection tool active, I then have the ability to center it like this, deselect, and move the text down like this. I don't want to have it too close to the bottom. We want to give it a little bit of padding there at the bottom so it looks good. But we've got a bit of a problem here. Well, two things. First of all, this should be on top of the layer stack. So let's drag that all the way to the top there. There we go. Now we can see our text. We can see it pretty well, except where it overlaps the neck. Because the neck is about the same color as the text there, we start to lose its readability, which is not a good thing. So I'm going to apply a outer glow effect to my text. Go to your layer effects, and we'll choose outer glow. I'll set the color to black. I'll tell you what I'm going to do here. I'm going to move this off the side a little bit so you can see the text there. But I'm setting the color of the outer glow to black. Changing the blending mode to overlay. And then I'll adjust the size until it looks appropriate. I've got to move this out of the way so you can see what I'm doing here. But I just adjust the size until that outer glow kind of spreads out a little bit. And now we have good separation between our text and the background. You can see here that I set my size to 65 pixels. I think I'll add one more effect while I'm here, and that's going to be the gradient overlay. Here's my gradient overlay option. For the gradient, I'm going to choose this black and white gradient. I'm going to set the style to reflected, and I'll scale it up 150%, which is the maximum. Let me move this out of the way so you can see what's happening here. Something's not looking really good, but see what's happening here is there's my gradient. I'm pulling it up to 150%, but it's making the text go dark in the center and light on the outside. So I'm going to click on this reverse option right here. So there's my gradient effect. I think it's a little on the strong side. It's covering up my color. So I'm just going to drop the gradient overlay opacity down a bit so that some of my color shows through. Let me move this out of the way so we can see. I'm just adjusting the opacity here. Bring it down, maybe about 25% looks good. So here we are, we set our opacity for the gradient overlay to 25%. So you kind of see a very subtle gradient on top of that. Now click OK. And here's my portrait. I need to fine tune it a little bit so I can adjust my filter settings, my layer effects, just to where it looks a little bit better. I actually think that diffuse glow is maybe a little on the strong side. So I'm going to tinker with this for just a little bit. A quick way for me to do that is go to my diffuse glow filter here, and you've got this little slider icon just to the right of that. And I'll double click that, and these blending options appear, as well as my opacity options. So I'm just going to pull the opacity down maybe to about 50% or so. Click OK. Now I also could have gone into the diffuse glow settings themselves and adjusted those, but I think this is a little bit quicker way to do it. So there's my finished movie poster. It could be a book cover for that matter. Your assignment is to create your own poster, and I want you to use an image of someone whose life work has been an inspiration to you. And this image must be a photograph. It can't be a drawing or a painting, etc. And the image must be approximately 10 by 15 inches, approximately. Doesn't have to be exact. 72 pixels per inch. So don't use any really tiny pictures, nothing 4 by 6 inches or anything like that. And explore effects other than those that are demonstrated in this tutorial, as different images are going to return different results, and you won't learn anything unless you experiment. The effects that I've tried here look pretty good on this image. They might not look so good on another image. So again, this is a very artistic and experimental process, and you can create your own. I'll show you an example. This is a photograph of the beat poet Jack Kerouac, and this is how one student interpreted that. I've got some other images on Blackboard that you can use, or you can find your own, but whoever might be inspirational to you, that's what you want to use for this particular project. So send me your finished work. You don't need to send me the practice file, the lipstick portrait. That is just for practice. But do send me your original work, and again, spend plenty of time experimenting and exploring all the different settings and the different things that you can do. Get really creative with it. This can be a great piece for your professional portfolio, but make it professional quality. I'm looking forward to seeing what you can do with this project. This is Mike McCrease.